Time to take you to City Hall. Find out what's the word on the street. What's the scuttlebutt over at City Hall? Our good friends at Projet Montreal always send us over someone every week, our guest/victim for the week. And boy, is it a doozy of a week. You know, Bill 96 now law in Quebec, and there are questions as to how Bill 96 will change the way you get services from the city of Montreal. You ever call 311? Do you ever consult the city of Montreal's website? Pretty good amount of bilingual information on the city's website, by the way. Any of that changing? Let's try and find out. Alia Hassan-Cournol is on the line, city councilor in Mercier, Hochelaga-Maisonneuve for the Maisonneuve-Longue-Pointe district. Alia, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Elias. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you here. Do we have any answers here as to what is going to happen once the law becomes enforceable? It's been passed. We got a few more days before it gets the final closure as a bill. What does that mean for someone who calls 311 and who wants to ask a question about garbage pickup in English?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, we don't have all the answers yet. And, it's up to Quebec, the Quebec government to explain how the city of Montreal is expected to apply Bill 96. And we don't have that information yet. But we've raised concerns on the Bill 96, even though we agree with the spirit of the law. But you're right. How the person on the other line of on the other end of the line is gonna know whether the person calling has the right to have services in English doesn't make sense yet. So, as you know, we're an inclusive city, and our administration has been very vocal on making sure that everybody has access to services. So we're still waiting for those answers, and definitely we want to make sure that everybody is gonna be able to have services and understand what the city is doing.
Ali, one of the things I love to do, I think our city has just a strikingly beautiful flag, right? The flag for the city of Montreal, I think it's just a delightful flag. I often look at it and I see the various symbols, right? The white pine, that's the latest edition for Indigenous peoples. Of course, you've got the fleur-de-lis for the French, and then you have the rose for the English, the thistle for the Scottish, the clover for the Irish. So I look at that flag and I see 4 out of the 5 symbols. If they had to pick an official first language, right, one of the 2 official languages, you'd sort of say 4 of the 5 would probably end up on the English side here. And just how outrageous it would be if calling 311 because you have a serious issue, let's say in an alleyway in your Ruelle Verte or some sort of thing that matters for citizens, how outrageous it would be if the city can't answer an Anglophone in English. Now, what if the Quebec government says, sorry, take away all the English from your website, no more English on your app, and no more English on the phone lines? What are you going to do?
You see, and that's exactly the thing we don't know yet. And as you said, and I want to point that out, Elias, you said that there is the white pine on the flag. And that actually, I'm also responsible for reconciliation with Indigenous people with Mayor Plante at the Executive Committee. And they've raised these concerns. We also have concerns for newly arrived immigrants, for people who don't know either French or English. So again, we want to make sure that we're going to be able to deliver services to make sure that everybody understands when they call 311 and they have answers to the needs they have. So again, we have major concerns on access to services, and we've been very proactive and vocal on making sure that everybody is left behind. So that's still going to be the spirit of the city of Montreal, even concerning Bill 96, even though we still want to make sure we protect the French language because we're the only French metropolis in North America, and this is something we're proud of, but we want to make sure that everybody has access to services. Our intention is to give services in the language that is required, the language we require.
We're with Alia Hassan-Cournol, Associate Executive Committee member on the City of Montreal's Executive Committee. I promise you we'll have one quick fun topic at the end, but unfortunately we have two tough topics for this week, okay? Guns, gun violence.
Yeah.
And of course, it's back in the public's mind because we see the madness in the United States. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness we don't have that here, but we're still having gun violence. We still see handgun shootings and that kind of stuff. So what's the latest from the City of Montreal on the other levels of government doing their job on guns?
Well, first of all, Elias, I want to reassure people listening to us today that Montreal is a safe city. It's still a safe city. And that we are one of the safest cities in North America. So that has to be made clear, and we have to be vocal on that. But that doesn't mean there is not an issue on gun violence. Obviously, there is. And yesterday, the SPVM and Mayor Plante have announced a major. They seized the SPVM seized an unprecedented amount of illicit drugs, and they dismantled a series of criminals that were dealing gun weapons. So yesterday, Mayor Plante was very clear on the fact that we don't want those criminals to be on the street. And we are going to make sure with the SPVM that everybody is on the field ground working to tackle those issues and make sure that our streets are safe. But on the other hand, we have to make sure that the government of Canada must ban handguns. And they have to take action on that. And they have to take the responsibility. Because us, as a city only, we cannot do that. And this is a responsibility of the federal government. And they have to take action. This is urgent. Yeah. This is a question of security of our children. This is a question of security in our streets. So they have to take the responsibility as soon as possible. And that's why also Mayor Plante has called on all political parties in Quebec to support a federal ban on handguns.
Alia, we'll end off with some good news for the summer. Yes. And that is, it seems like we are putting everything into place to have quite the party summer in the City of Montreal. Give me some highlights here for our listeners to look forward to with what the city's doing to make sure that the summertime's fun in the city.
Well, a lot of things, but first thing first, it's the comeback of all the big festivals, and we needed that. We wanted to go back to Jazz Fest, to Francophonie, to have fun in the streets, to party in the streets. So this is going to be definitely a fun summer, listening to music, meeting artists, discovering new arts in the city. We are also working, especially downtown, on making sure that culture is accessible everywhere, free, that anybody can access the fun part of Montreal. And, of course, there is the piétonisation coming back in the commercial streets pretty much everywhere in Montreal. It goes from Mercier, Hochelaga-Maisonneuve to Le Plateau, and Cartierville, Verdun, downtown. So it's going to be a fun summer for the restaurants that are going to have a lot of terraces. So
good.
Definitely can't wait to see all the Montrealers in the streets this summer.
It's good to hear, and let's just make sure all of those restaurateurs don't get hurdles thrown to them when they try and put up a terrace and get blocked or get told it's not up to code. Just saying.
We're doing the work, as you know. I know.
Alia Hassan-Cournol is Associate Executive Committee member and City Councilor in Mercier, Hochelaga-Maisonneuve. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Elias. Have a nice day.